But if it does happen, it still doesn't necessarily show that there was intent or no intent. So I suspect that's what your other defense lawyers have been commenting on.
Right, exactly.
Whether it's first degree or not, or matters such as that. But a defense lawyer can only play cards with the cards that have been dealt to them. So to hold back information from your lawyer, that doesn't help the client at all, because the lawyer doesn't know how to play the hand if you can't see all the cards. So I would beat my client up from one end of the room to the next to tell me the truth. And then I would do my best to evaluate the case, whether this was a case to go to trial or to plea. And in this instance, I believe that for a whole lot of reasons, there should be an honest discussion with her. And I think that law enforcement and the state attorney's office should be very practical. They know they don't have the best case in the world. The case has gotten a bit better because they have found Caylee. But anything can happen, particularly when a cause of death is not known.
All right.
Now, Mark, we'll let you go in one moment. I had one question. At the end of, you mentioned just a few moments ago.
We have the medical examiner's van leaving the scene right now, and we're not really sure who's in the van or if the remains are in the van, but just to keep you updated as we continue to look at it live.
That was the first and only van we saw come in,
right,
and the first to go out. Mark, you had mentioned, I heard you say, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you thought there might be more horrendous information coming out from this, more news of this that is going to discuss people that much further. Did I hear you correctly?
Well, that's my speculation. Everybody, as my resignation letter stated, everybody has an opinion, and I surely have mine. I believe mine's very well informed as it relates to being in the center of this storm for quite a while now. And if my opinions, which I'm not going to get into at this point, are correct, then I think it's just a sad, horrific tragedy, and it's those words don't even begin to describe it.
All right, Mark James, defense attorney who was once representing Cindy and George Anthony, but then has left the case. Thank you for joining us on the phone. Interesting to hear your insight, and I'm sure we'll be in touch with you again as this continues to unfold here.
Good of us to join. Good of him to join us.
Thank you for joining us on vacation there. All right, we've got some updates from Mike DeForest, I believe, out there to see. Mike, we just saw the medical examiner's van leave. Can you tell us anything new?
Sheriff's officials tell me that the medical examiner did contain the body, and they just took it down to the medical examiner's office right now, or at least that's where we believe. So the remains that were found out here have been transported away, but you can see still quite a lot of activity out here down at the end of Suburban Drive here in Orlando. As you can see, that is Sergeant John Allen, one of the lead detectives. He was coming up to his truck. He's talking to Sheriff Kevin Berry. He's sitting in that SUV right there. They all kind of walked up in a big group, almost kind of with that sense that at least, not that they're done out here by any means, but they had just wrapped up something, and sure enough, just moments later, we saw the medical examiner van leave, and I'm told by a sheriff's deputy that, in fact, it was carrying the remains. Sergeant John Allen heading back to the mobile command center out here. If you take a look just off to the right, you can see there's a blue tent and some yellow crime scene tape, and we're told about 50 feet or so off the road is where early this morning around 9:30 a utility worker found these remains. We're told a skull and also possibly some duct tape and a plastic bag among other remains here. Just to set the stage, if you're just joining us, authorities have not yet confirmed whether this is Caylee Anthony's body, but we do know that it is most likely a small child, and excuse me, very, very close proximity to the Anthony home. Basically, I am standing on a street corner. There's a lot of TV crews here, so I can't really pan off, but I'm standing on a street corner, and just down here to my left, to your right, about 3 blocks down is the home of George and Cindy Anthony, probably 15 homes or so from where we're standing now. So this is right around the corner from their home where this body was discovered this morning. This is a dead-end road, and back there are extensive woods. And we were, some of Casey Anthony's junior high and high school friends told detectives very early on that these woods were a place that Casey used to hang out in high school with some of her friends, and if she were to dispose of a body, this is where some of those friends believed it would be. This is an area that we know searchers had been out at early on in this case, but according to Orange County Sheriff Kevin Berry, the specific area where this body was found was underwater, presumably from Tropical Storm Faye that occurred, when was that, late July, early August, and this was an area that was underwater at the time, and so that explains why searchers probably did not see this garbage bag and this skull and some of the other evidence that was found out there. But it was, again, this morning, a utility worker, a meter reader with the county, was actually back in those woods and made this horrific discovery. And right now, the process is on to try to determine whether, in fact, that is missing Caylee Anthony, who lived just, wow, 3-4 blocks from this location here. Many are telling us that they think this most likely is, but we do not have that official confirmation out here. Meanwhile, just a ton of sheriff's deputies in this area guarding over the Anthony home, just a couple doors down from where we are, patrolling several of the intersections, knowing that not just a big media crowd is out here, but also the possibility of onlookers coming by, although we really have not seen too much of that other than the neighbors who live out here, all of them who have been following this quick case as closely as anyone and having to deal with a lot of the disruption sometimes of the media and law enforcement being out in their neighborhood. We've seen them coming and going all day, just curious as to whether this, in fact, is their worst fear. We don't have confirmation on that yet, though, but all suspicions are that this is probably Caylee Anthony.
Mike, just want to get you to recap the beginning of your report there. We saw the medical examiner van leave the scene. Do we believe that the body was inside that van?
I am told by a sheriff's spokesman that, yes, the body was inside that medical examiner van. I'm only assuming it's going down to the medical examiner's office where more extensive autopsy tests can be conducted. Earlier today, we have not seen her, but we were told that Orange County Medical Examiner and TV personality, Dr. Jan Garibaldi, Dr. G as she's known on her cable show, was out here in person to examine this crime scene, and she, along with her staff over there at the Orange County Medical Examiner's office, would be the ones taking a more in-depth look at these remains that were found out here, trying to positively determine the identity. So that's where that stands, Eric.
Those remains were found, and this is an area that really was a hideout, apparently, for Caylee Anthony. And Mike, you had said before that you thought that it was likely that Casey's remains could have indeed been there because it was so close to the house, and it would have been the easiest place to place them.
As you would assume, all of us who have covered this case for so long have their theories about what happened. We try to keep our personal opinions aside as we're covering this, but certainly in wondering whether little Caylee is dead, I, like everyone else out here and everyone watching this, had their ideas, and I had a feeling it was exactly where you see that crime scene tape now. As I was telling some of the other anchors earlier, this is a dead-end road. And actually, let's take a look now. You see these school buses coming by. I can't tell if there's children in them or not. Let's see if there are any kids, because we're seeing a whole line of school buses, and yes, they are loaded with kids, and this is a gruesome scene to behold as it is. Right behind here is Hidden Oaks Elementary School. School is dismissing. This is one of the main ways in and out of the school, and unfortunately the only way school officials